There are people in this world who exist but feel invisible at the same time. They walk into rooms and nothing changes. No one turns their head. No one pauses. No one notices. They have thoughts, ideas, opinions, even dreams, but all of it stays trapped inside them like a voice locked behind a closed door. And slowly, without realizing it, they start fading from their own life. Not because they are not capable, but because they stopped expressing themselves. This is the story of someone like that. His name was Ayaan, and if you saw him, you would not think anything was wrong. He looked normal, lived a normal life, went to school like everyone else. But inside, there was a constant battle going on. Ayaan had ideas. He had answers. Many times he understood things faster than others. But there was one thing he could never do. He could not speak up. In school he always chose the last bench. Not because he liked it, but because it felt safe. The front rows were for people who were confident, people who raised their hands without fear, people who didn't overthink every word before speaking. Ayaan was not one of them. He would sit quietly, listening carefully, understanding everything, but when the moment came to speak, his heart would start beating faster, his throat would tighten, and his mind would whisper the same thing every time: what if you're wrong? That one question was enough to silence him again and again. Over time, this silence started shaping his identity. Teachers stopped expecting answers from him. Classmates stopped including him in discussions. People began to assume he had nothing to say. And slowly, Ayaan himself started believing that maybe he really didn't matter. That maybe his thoughts were not important. That maybe staying quiet was just who he was. Years passed and this habit followed him everywhere. Even outside school, in small everyday moments, Ayaan stayed silent. At a shop, if he got the wrong change, he would not say anything. In a group conversation, even if he disagreed, he would just nod. At home, when something bothered him, he kept it inside. His silence became his comfort zone, but it was also his cage. The strange thing about silence is that it feels safe in the moment, but over time, it slowly takes everything away from you. It takes your confidence. It takes your presence. It takes your identity. And before you even realize it, you are no longer living your life. You are just watching it pass by. One day something small happened, but it changed everything. Ayaan was sitting in a classroom during a group discussion. The teacher had asked a question, and as usual, the same few students were speaking loudly, confidently, even when they were not completely right. Ayaan knew the answer. Not just a guess, but a clear, correct answer. He could feel it strongly inside him. His mind said, "This is your chance." But then, like always, another voice came: "What if you say it wrong? What if people laugh? What if you embarrass yourself?" And so he stayed silent. A few seconds later, another student gave an answer. It was almost the same as what Ayaan had in his mind, but not fully correct. The teacher still appreciated him. The class listened. That student became visible in that moment, even without being perfect. And Ayaan just sat there, watching his own voice come out of someone else's mouth. That moment hit him harder than anything before. It wasn't anger. It wasn't jealousy. It was something deeper. It was regret. For the first time, Ayaan realized that the real problem was not that he didn't have something to say. The real problem was that he never gave himself permission to say it. That day he went home and sat quietly in his room. But this time his silence felt different. It was not comfortable anymore. It felt heavy. It felt like he was carrying something inside that needed to come out. He started thinking about all the moments he stayed quiet, all the chances he missed, all the times he let fear decide for him. And then a simple thought came to his mind, one that changed everything. What if I am not invisible? What if I am choosing to hide? That question stayed with him. The next day nothing magically changed. Ayaan was still the same person. The fear was still there. The hesitation was still there. But something was different. There was a small awareness now. A small voice that refused to stay completely silent. In class, when the teacher asked a question, Ayaan felt the same fear rise again. His heart started racing. His hands felt cold. His mind tried to stop him like always. But this time he did something new. Instead of waiting for the fear to go away, he spoke anyway. His voice was not strong. It was not perfect. It even shook a little. But for the first time, it existed outside his head. The class turned toward him. For a second it felt uncomfortable. But then something unexpected happened. No one laughed. No one judged. The teacher simply listened and nodded. That was it. But for Ayaan, that small moment felt like breaking a wall that had been standing for years. He didn't become confident overnight. He didn't suddenly start speaking all the time. But he took one step. Then another. Then another. Each time he spoke, even if it was just a few words, something inside him started changing. He realized that confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build one small action at a time. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Ayaan slowly started becoming visible. Not because he changed who he was, but because he stopped hiding who he already was. People started noticing him. Teachers started asking for his opinion. Conversations felt less scary. The same world that once ignored him started responding to him. But the biggest change was not outside. It was inside. Ayaan no longer felt like a background character in his own life. He felt present. He felt heard. He felt real. And one day he understood something very powerful. Your voice is not just about speaking. It is about existing. It is about telling the world, I am here. And when you keep that voice locked inside, you are not protecting yourself. You are slowly erasing yourself. The truth is, most people are not invisible because they lack talent or intelligence. They are invisible because they are afraid to express it. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect confidence, the perfect words. But that moment never comes. Because growth does not come from comfort. It comes from action. The magic of speaking up is not that it makes you perfect. It is that it makes you visible. It gives your thoughts a chance to exist. It gives your identity a chance to grow. Ayaan's life did not become perfect. He still had fears. He still had doubts. But now those fears no longer controlled him. Because he learned one simple thing. Fear does not disappear before action. It disappears because of action. From invisible to unstoppable is not a sudden transformation. It is a series of small decisions. Moments where you choose to speak instead of staying silent. Moments where you choose growth instead of comfort. Moments where you choose to exist fully and honestly. And maybe right now you see yourself in Ayaan. Maybe you also stay quiet when you have something to say. Maybe you also feel like no one notices you. Maybe you are waiting for the right time to express yourself. But the truth is there is no perfect time. There is only this moment. And your voice is waiting. So the next time your mind tells you to stay silent, ask yourself one question. Am I protecting myself, or am I hiding from myself? Because your life changes the moment you decide to be heard. Not loudly. Not perfectly. Just honestly. And that is where your real journey begins. If this story touched you, like, share and subscribe for more stories.